Okay, so we're back with another game, and today we have the move c4. We go for the move pawn to e5. Haven't played a reverse Sicilian for a while. So here we'll go with the move pawn to d5. Actually, in this particular move order, after the move knight c3 really early, I think you can also play the move pawn to c6. This is a really good option as well. This is more like a reversed Alapin. Goes for e4. Okay, so e4... it's not so common, haven't seen this move. But, I mean, we follow through with the move pawn to d5, I suppose. We'll capture. If he captures here, then we just capture back, and then there's like these weak squares everywhere. Especially when he fiancheters his bishop d3 will become very, very weak. So this should be pretty good for black. So we capture back. So bishop g2, I'm thinking maybe knight to b4. Bring the knight into the d3 square. This is going to be very, very annoying for him to deal with. There's a check here, but bishop d7, I can always trade off the bishops with bishop c6. Yeah, I think this has gone perhaps slightly wrong for white, because he shouldn't be allowing this check on d3. I also have maybe queen d3, knight c2 ideas as well coming up. So this looks very dangerous for him. If bishop e4, I could even maybe play f5 in this position, just to kick the bishop away and try to get the knight into the d3 square. I can also always just play knight d3 anyway and win the light squared bishop. That would be fine as well. So it goes for this queen check. I suppose I go bishop to d7, wins a tempo and the queen. Also, trading off these light squared bishops is certainly in my favor. So I'm not worried about bishop c6. So yeah, now I'm thinking bishop c6, defends the pawn, trades off these light squared bishops, leaves all these holes. If a3, I always have knight check, bring the knight back, also knight to d4 coming. So bishop c6. So captures, and now knight will jump into the game. So also, I didn't really want to throw in the check on d3 just yet, because it's just a check. It just forces the king towards g2, where the king's probably safe on g2. So I don't want to force it there. If I leave it here on e1, I have some extra options, like maybe queen d3, knight c2 coming, and all these forking ideas. So for the time being, we'll just leave the king on that square. Yeah, so exactly this is what I mean. So in this position, we can play the move queen to d3 with the threat of knight to c2 check. That looks very, very good. Does he have knight to g5? This is probably the only move I have to consider. So if I play the move queen to d3, then knight to g5, and then let's say I play knight c2 check, king to d1, knight takes rook, then he has queen takes f7, king d8, knight check, and then queen to c7 is mate. So I do have to be careful of this, but it should be okay for me. Like, let's say I play this, the knight comes back, I play queen to f5, hitting the knight, defending the pawn, also preparing knight to c2 check. Then what, he has to play knight to e4 probably. There's also knight g6, queen g6 with the knight here, and then if the knight goes to e4, I have f5. That also looks really good because then the knight's sort of trapped. Anyway, this looks very, very good. So I go for queen to d3. Knight here, I'll go queen g6. I also have queenside castles if I really need to. So this should be more or less lost now. So it has to go knight to g5, I think. Queen g6, h4, h6. Doesn't look like there's anything there. So yeah, queen g6 is what we thought. Still just double checking queen f5 if there's anything there, because knight d3 looks very, very tempting. If knight d3 works, then okay, actually let's double check this. So queen f5, knight goes to e4. Okay, knight d3 check. Now the king can't go to d1 because queen f3 check, king c2, knight d4 check would win the queen. The king can't go to e2 because knight d4 check wins the queen, therefore the king has to go to f1. Now we go queen h3 check. Now the king has to go to the g1 square. Now do we have the move knight to d4 in that position? Threatening knight f3, threatening the queen? Probably not. I mean, the queen can go to d1. Actually, the queen can even just take on f7, takes, and knight back to g5. So I'm just going to stick with the original idea of playing queen g6. So we still have these checking ideas here on d3, c2. If the knight goes to e4, yeah, the knight is going to be trapped. Actually, if knight e4, you can even play knight d4 If queen a4 check, pawn to b5. If knight takes, then queen takes on e4 would win in that position. So it goes for the move pawn to d3. Makes sense. So now knight d4 is, why is this move not just winning? So knight to d4, queen goes to a4 check, pawn to b5, knight takes b5. With queen c6, there's knight to c7 check. And this hangs on for white, I think. And if I just play h6 here, what does he do? So h6, knight e4, knight takes, f5. Looks very, very good. I can also just take a piece, actually. Why can't I just take a free piece? So if I take here, king goes, I take the bishop, I take the knight. Maybe he has some queen takes b7 ideas there. So I have to be a little bit careful. There's some ideas here to watch out for. Okay, what about this? What about knight d4, queen a4 check, pawn to b5, knight takes b5, knight to c2 check. This looks very, very risky, but king to d2. Queen takes g5, pawn to f4. And there's all these like discovered checks. Yeah, so this all looks very risky. I mean, the safest option is just to take and play knight c5. So let's just go for this. Just play very, very safe. Very, very safe chess. Defends b7. So rook d8's coming. Yeah, so I think I chase the piece away. Is there some knight b5 move? Probably not right away. Knight b5, I have rook c8. So it should be okay. I can play this move. Knight d5 type of moves, I can always play rook c8. Worst case scenario. Yeah, so we have rook c8. We also have, actually after this move we can also castle, which is an option we didn't have before. I really like the move castles. Queen g4 check, we have the move pawn to f5. If the knight moves, then we play queen e4. If pawn to b4, we play pawn takes and then queen e4. It's a free piece. And now it should be game over. Bishop e3, we check and pick up the knight. Force a queen trade. I think we just take that. Okay, I can play many moves here. b5. Let's just play f4. We're up a lot of material here already. Can give back a little bit. I wonder if there's some checkmating threats after knight to d3, knight here. Knight to d3 takes, check. That looks very dangerous. I don't know if there is any checkmating threats. Probably should have checked it more, but it looks very, very dangerous. So we'll go for it. Okay, here white can't just take. Just check. Pick up the rook. Just throw in a check for good measure. Then we'll take the rook. Check and mate. Okay. So I don't think this particular line is that great for white. So I think after c6, it's better if you go knight f3, d4, or bishop to g2. But definitely e4 here, I think, is probably a mistake, because this position definitely feels very, very comfortable for white, especially like with all these light squared weaknesses. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this game. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys on the next rapid game.